I don't think there's anything mystical about philosophical arguments for anything, God or otherwise. Philosophical arguments are just logical arguments that have a very defined structure, with premises which lead to a conclusion, and these can be logically valid, as in the case of a modus ponens or a modus tollens argument. If P, then Q, P, therefore Q. If P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. Or they could be invalid. If P, then Q, not P, therefore not Q. That's the denying the antecedent. Now, as for the falsifiability of arguments, like the fine-tuning argument in this case, and the argument like the Kalam cosmological argument, the moral argument, the modal ontological argument, these can be falsified, just the same way that any argument for anything can be falsified. All you have to do is just show that one of the premises is false. So, for example, if it were shown that the universe is eternally old and never began to exist, it didn't have a beginning, but it's always been here, that would falsify premise 2 of the Kalam cosmological argument. If you could show that the fine-tuning is due to chance or physical necessity, well, that would undermine the second premise of the cosmic fine-tuning argument. And if you could show that God, an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, morally perfect, necessary being, is even logically coherent, well, that would undermine the first premise of the modal ontological argument, and it wouldn't just undermine the premise of that argument, it would undermine the rationality of theism entirely. So it's not unfalsifiable. It's not. These arguments are quite falsifiable, and that's why I invite skeptics, like some of those who comment on TikTok here, to argue against these arguments, to give their reasons for thinking. Why don't you think that this is a sound argument for the existence of God? Why are you still an atheist in light of these arguments? Because if these arguments are sound, then atheism is false. Now, the only thing I agree with in this comment is that, yeah, these philosophical arguments, well, in addition to the historical evidence for Christian truth claims, which I just published a very lengthy blog article series on, and I'm currently doing a podcast series on as well over at the Cerebral Faith Podcast. If I didn't have these, I probably would feel kind of dumb for being a Christian. I would feel dumb for believing anything that I didn't have any epistemic justification for. You need to have good evidence for what you believe. And thankfully, Christianity does have an abundance, I would say an overabundance of evidence for it from a wide range of different disciplines: philosophy, science, history. In fact, the subtitle of my first book is called The Case for the One True God, a scientific, philosophical, and historical case for the God of Christianity.